And so as I breathe in and feel all of this excitement and tingling of the song, remembering that I am standing on holy ground wherever I am, for that is Spirit supporting me everywhere, always. That everything that I can experience is this one, this God, this life, this power of creation. And I get to experience that in others, in people, in other life forms, even in the air I breathe. It's everywhere. It is my body, my thoughts. As I expand and stretch out to understand that I am and can be whatever I imagine. I can create other things that may have felt beyond me. And so as I understand this life and the pure potential and unlimitedness of it, this power, that it is expressing itself everywhere at once in everything, creating everything, that I'm unlimited too, and that perhaps my purpose is to express more than I think I can, and to be more present and open and awake so that I can connect and be aware of all of the God around me. That it's not just me swimming in this, but it's all. That I get to see my reflection in everyone's reflection. I get to feel and be more. And so from my smallness, I become great and vast. I'm so grateful to be alive, to be in this presence, to be in the I am, knowing that this is love, this is life, this is living, and it is so good, and that it is all good, for I am here, in it, of it, as it. And so I release this, knowing that all are here, and all are expanded in its greatness, in this holiness, in this sacred moment. And I'm grateful to know the I am and the one that is creating it all. And so it is.
We're working this month on the idea of transcendent purpose. Transcendent purpose. And today we're going to look at the purpose that surpasses all. Do you want to know the purpose that surpasses all? Are you ready for that? You already know it. Such enthusiasm. So last week we talked about that the word transcendent comes from the Latin scandare, which means to climb. And that transcend means climbing so high that we cross borders, we cross boundaries in some way or other. We move above our normal perceptions and limitations. That's the idea of transcendence, is rising above. And the ultimate transcendent is what we call God, the infinite presence. And when we talk about God, of course, we're not talking about some big guy in the sky with a long white beard and all that stuff, right? We all know this. We're talking about the infinite power, presence, essence. Michael Beckwith calls it the love, intelligence, beauty of the universe. That is what we mean when we talk about that. And we talked about last week that Ernest Holmes in the Science Mind textbook opens up the textbook by saying that the divine plan is one of freedom. That's the only plan there is. There isn't a little plan for Susan and a little plan for Kai and a little plan for Brent. It's freedom. We're here to play. We're here to be free, yes? We get to do whatever we want, and there's both a responsibility and a joy in that process, yes? I remember the motivational speaker Dennis Waitley used to say there should be a statue of responsibility in San Francisco Bay to balance out the Statue of Liberty in New York. To take responsible, that we're not just here to do, whatever, but that there's a responsibility, there's a consequence of what we do. It's been said that we don't get punished by our sins, or excuse me, for our sins, we get punished by our sins, by our misunderstandings, by what we do, having consequences that come back to us, right? Thank you. Are you with me today? Okay, just... The lights are bright. I can't see if anybody, maybe you're all out having the potluck already. So the nature and expression of God, of this infinite presence, is the ultimate purpose of the universe. I'll say that again. The nature and expression of that nature is the ultimate purpose of the universe, including us, because we are one of that. Here's the important part. God becomes in our lives what we believe about God. I'll say that again. God becomes in our lives what we believe about God. We just played with this in our class on Wednesday night with this idea. Another way of saying that is life shows up as we expect it to, as we believe that it is. So here's the thing. If I believe in an angry, judgmental God, what am I going to experience in life? If I believe in a distant, remote, unreliable God, that's how I will experience God as life. If I believe in a no God, that's how I will experience life. There ain't nothing there. If I believe in a God, if I know a God that is intimate, infinite presence, always with me, even that to the point that even that it and I is one. It and I is one. That's how I'll experience life. When I know that life is all there is, this infinite presence is all there is, that I'm one of it, we can walk through life, and all the stuff that seems to be going around doesn't pull us away from that centered point of knowing that there is this infinite presence that is always for its highest and greatest good, and whatever that stuff out there looks like, it's still going to be used for its highest and greatest good. At the end of the book of Genesis in the Bible, there's the story of Joseph, the guy with the multicolored coat. Remember him? Some of you do. Yeah? And he gets beaten up by his brothers and thrown in a ditch and then sold into slavery, right? And he gets taken to Egypt and goes through a bunch of adventures. He ends up eventually being the second in command right underneath the Pharaoh and the administrator of the food for everybody, right? And there's 10 years of feast, and then there's followed by 10 years of famine in this process. And he's had a dream that says this is coming, advised the Pharaoh, and so he's in charge of this. And so as he's in this position, his brothers come down from Israel begging for food from the Egyptians and asking him for food. And he finally kind of reveals himself to them because they don't recognize him, right? It's been a while. And he's in all duded up, and in all whatever, Egyptian garb he would be wearing, and they don't recognize him. And so he finally says, "You know who I am, right?" And they're sitting there going, "Oh, stuff," right? Here we are in a foreign land that our brother is the second in command of, and we treated him like you know what. And he looks at him, he messes with him for a little while. But he eventually looks at him and says, "What you did, you intended for evil, but God used it for good." God used it, the infinite presence used it for good. And so if we recognize that this infinite presence is always using whatever is going on for good, I might not see it right this moment. When I'm going through my second divorce, it did not look good, feel good. It was not enjoyable. I wouldn't wish that on anybody except a couple of my worst enemies. but a God used it for good. I can look back and say, oh, thank God I'm not in that marriage anymore. And thank God I went through the process that I went through to get out of that marriage because I needed it. So if we believe that this infinite presence is always with us, always working through our lives, always working through all of life, we don't get sidetracked by the stuff. Yes? Take a breath. Find that place within you that feels centered and grounded and just experience that for a moment. Sit in that place for a moment, the awareness of that. If you want to know what you believe about God, look at your life. If you want to know what you believe about God, look at your life, and not just the outer stuff, but the inner feelings and thoughts. See, I used to feel guilty about skipping meditation because I thought that, I was letting God down, and it would be disappointed with me, right? Some old Catholic beliefs. I was raised Catholic, and I have to say it's really hard. I've been out of that since I was 17 or 18 years old. I'm 74 now, and it's still hard to shake some of those old beliefs, right? So, but we keep doing it. We keep working through it. And so they show up. In other areas, when I'm afraid of disappointing people, and I'll be rejected and cast out for it because I ultimately believe that's what God does, the old God, right? My old idea of God. So when I say that life shows up as what we believe about God or it, I don't mean what we say we believe, what we wish we believe, I've read what Ernest Holmes says, and yeah, I believe that. It's what we actually, really, really, in our core gut level, do believe. This is why Ernest Holmes says that we do not get what we wish for, we get what we become. We get what we are. And that if we want to have more, we must become more. Yes? Breathe. The infinite presence is totally, abundantly, absolutely available to us. All of it is available to us. We tell it how to show up in our lives based on what? Our beliefs. Our beliefs. Conscious or unconscious beliefs. And most of the time when it's showing up in ways that we don't like, it's due to unconscious beliefs. So the first step in tapping into the purpose that surpasses all is to have a more accurate and expansive idea of this infinite presence, of this divine. No one knows all of God. It's impossible because we're looking at this infinite beingness from a finite perspective, right? We're looking at that, which should tell us that there's more than we can know about it. If you meet a person who tells you that they know exactly what God is, I've been I'm aware of other churches, let's put it that way, that they got it dialed in. This is what God is, and that. If you meet a person like that, run, don't walk away. There's a saying in Zen Buddhism that if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. And what that really means is, if you meet that part on the path that you're on in your path to your journey to greater expansion, greater enlightenment, if you meet that part of you that is absolutely certain it's got it all dialed in and it knows what to do, kill it. Don't kill yourself. Kill that aspect of you. You have to kill that to move beyond that into something greater, because there is something greater on the other side of that. So we can't know what this infinite beingness is, but we can learn more about it by observing how it operates, how it expresses. And the first thing we notice is it does express. Yes? Look at your neighbor. Notice that that's the divine expressing. Look at the chair you're sitting on, the room you're sitting in, the lights that are on right here, the world that is outside of these four walls, the infinite number of planets, stars, galaxies, all that. It expresses. It doesn't just sit there and just kind of, yeah, I'm just going to be. It's expressing. Yes? Breathe. It shows up, at least in this aspect of existence, in an ever-expanding variety of forms. There are more forms on this planet now than there were 10,000 years ago, yes? Okay? It shows up in an expanding variety of forms, which leads to the second awareness, which is it changes how it expresses. It doesn't change its nature, but it changes how it's expressing its nature. We label this as a process called evolution, evolving. As we recognize that each change grows out of what was before and leads to something that comes after, yes? There's a sequence, there's a process. There's not a randomness, but what we call an unfolding. And it speaks to the fact that there is some form of intelligence that's probably a little bit beyond my own and your own, that it's an operation here. Ernest Holmes used to say that there are beings that are beyond, as far beyond us as we are beyond the tadpole. I've met a few people who I don't think they're very far beyond the tadpole, and sometimes I feel like that. So there's something more, something more. So I want to introduce another trans word. I'm going to get in trouble with the government here. I'm going to talk about trans, okay? Are you okay? That trans word is transformation. Transformation. And transformation literally means moving across form or from one form to another. Transformation is the transcendent moving into form. Breathe that in for a moment. Transformation is the infinite transcendence expressing moving into form. It is the transcendent moving from pure potentiality into form. I believe we have a slide that can help us with that. You've seen this before. This is our creative process symbol. The top is the infinite potentiality. It's the potential of love. It's the potential of beauty. It's the infinite potentiality. The V is the movement into form, which is on the lowest level of this chart. The V is the movement of that potentiality into form. God is the whole circle, the whole thing. God is the potential. God is the form. God is the movement and the process in between. All of it is the divine. I had an experience many years ago of down in Southern Oregon. I was standing looking at a waterfall on one of the rivers down there, beautiful waterfall. And all of a sudden I had this moment of that waterfall is God, just being the waterfall. And I, experiencing the waterfall, am God, experiencing God as the waterfall. And the joy and the gratitude that I feel is God experiencing the joy and the gratitude of the waterfall, of the experiencing of the water. It was a cycle. It was the whole oneness of it. It's like all there was this infinite presence doing and being in different forms. Yes? You can take water and you can turn it into ice. You can let it be just water. You can let it be steam, or you can let it be vapor. It's all still water. It's changing in the form. So God is all of this. As we enact this process individually, we guide the infinite potential into form through that middle level, which is our beliefs, what we call the law, which is simply the law of cause and effect. It says we take this infinite potential, we can take this infinite potential and shape it as we want to, as we believe. And it will simply say, yes. And this goes back to, what do I believe about God? If I believe that God is an angry, judgmental God, and that's what I expect in life, the law will say, yes. If I believe that God is pure love, expressing joy in my life, the law will simply say, all of it. So it's just like we might shape clay or Play-Doh. Anybody ever do that, as kids, or we still do? Okay. We shape it by our beliefs and intentions. The clay does not care what shape we create out of it, does it? The clay doesn't care. It continues to be clay. But we will have a different experience based on how we shape the clay. Breathe. How we shape the clay creates a different experience in us. if we shape it this way or that way. Now, the clay is an unthinking, completely malleable substance. We talk about the infinite substance of the universe, and when we do, that's what we're talking about. We might call it the infinite Play-Doh of the universe, yes? Okay? It just shows up, but as we just talked about, there's some form of consciousness behind all of this, moving in a direction we may not know, but we can discern by paying attention. We can discern it through both inner and outer observation, through listening, through paying attention, through asking, what is it that wants to move through me now? When we do processes like visioning in this teaching, it's asking, what does this infinite intelligence want to express through me now? When our individual purpose aligns with this greater purpose, a flow happens. And most of us have probably experienced that at some point in our lives. We might describe it as doors opened, synchronicity, coincidence, the stars aligned, or something like that. But what it really is us aligning with this infinite purpose. Consciously or unconsciously, we've done it. And all of a sudden, stuff starts to happen. Dominoes start to fall. So the flow of the infinite expression, and as we do this, something wonderful happens. As we are aligned to this, because this infinite is wonderful. And so when we align with that, something more wonderful happens in our lives, yes? And then we sit there and go, God, I don't know how that happened, but I'm so glad it did. What we do in this kind of teaching is to strive to do so more consciously and more often, more consistently, so that our whole lives become a dance of the divine in form. What we do in this teaching is we try to clear out that middle level right there where our stuff lives, where I believe that I'm not good enough, or that people don't love me, or that I'm going to be abandoned and rejected, or that I'm always going to be poor because my parents, grandparents, and what all that chatter. Not you guys, but you know people who have that chatter going on in their lives, yes? You can see it by looking at their lives, right? Okay. Breathe. So this connecting with the divine is something that needs to be cultivated, listened to, paid attention to, and acted upon. And that's the other part. It needs to be acted upon. Maria Nemeth, who wrote the book The Energy of Money, said that metaphysicians metaphysal when they don't act on their inspiration, their purpose. Without the V, there's only potential. And if I give you the choice between a potential chocolate bar and an actual chocolate bar, which one would most of you take? Potential wealth, actual wealth. Potential love, just, oh yeah, the potential of love, or really truly feeling love. We want the experience, yes? We want the form. The universe's tendency of moving into form is an integral part of its nature, and thus our nature. And because God is the potential, the form, and the process, there's one more thing to know, and thus the how to make it happen. The how is this going to move into form is inherent in the what. See, most of us, many people, I should say that, get the idea of, oh, I have this wonderful vision, I have no idea how to make it happen. And so we give up and walk away. And it just sits there in pure potential. We metaphysal. The process of fulfilling our transcendent purpose is contained within the purpose itself. I'll say it again. The process, the V, of fulfilling our transcendent purpose is contained within the purpose itself, unless we believe in some remote God that is full of great ideas, but we little beings on earth have to struggle and get frustrated, trying all alone to make it happen. Instead of realizing, I'm reminded of Paul Simon's song from Slip, Slide, and Away, or line from that. God makes his plans, the information is unavailable to the mortal man. That's a wonderful idea of, there's this remote God with making plans and we don't know what's happening. But we can know if we pay attention, if we listen, if we tune in. It's there. When we realize that the full alignment with the purpose includes making it welcome, we don't just sit on our meditation cushions metaphysically. Action on our part is necessary, but action in alignment with the infinite flow feels very different from struggling to make something happen. If it is to be, it's up to me. Yes? Take a breath. When we lift our attention up to become aware of an infinite transcendent purpose, wanting, I'll say it again, wanting, desiring, needing to express through us. How do I know that? Because we're here. Yes, feel it. We're here. It wants to express through us, and saying yes and acting in alignment with that purpose, letting our actions be guided by the purpose. It shifts us from either plodding through life, I've got no hope, I don't lift my eyes up, the old biblical thing, the people without a vision perish. It shifts us from just going through our day to day, and that's all that there is until I die. Or being on the road to hell paved with good intentions. Our surpassing purpose carries us if we really say yes. Yes, I'm all in to its fulfillment. And so that's the question that I'll ask you this week is, are you willing to say yes to that infinite purpose that wants to express uniquely, but it's still a transcendent purpose. It's the infinite divine wanting to express uniquely through you. Will you say yes? A few people? See, here's the thing about that. The infinite sits there and says, okay, are you all in, or are you just kind of, I'm going to dip a toe in the water, and if it's okay, maybe I'll put a second toe in. Here's the truth. You got to jump all the way in, even though you have no blankety blank idea what's going to happen and what it means. What's that? Jump in with a cannonball. Are you willing to jump into your divine purpose? Your transcendent purpose? So this week, I'm going to invite you to do 3 practices. Number 1, set aside some time, some real time, to ask what is the transcendent purpose that has always been and continues to be seeking expression through me now. Because you see, when we get in touch with our divine purpose, we suddenly go, oh, crap, I was doing that back when I was 8 years old. I've been doing that here and here and here and here all through my life. I just wasn't aware that that was what really was purpose trying to express through me. I've shared my own journey of as a kid saying Mass in the basement, building altars and saying Mass in the basement, while my friends were out playing baseball and being the Taoist and the Zen Buddhist and loving God and having God at the center of my life for my whole life. I could go back further than that. Be a little embarrassing, but I could. So what we understand is we've been doing this purpose. It's been trying to express through us, and we've always been saying, well, yeah, that's nice, but I got these important things to do here, like I got to make a living and raise my family and all this stuff, right? And it's not that that's not important, but this is who we really are. And when we align with that, all this takes care of itself. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else shall be added. But if I go after the all else first, I miss everything. So breathe. We take some time to ask, what is the transcendent purpose that has always been and continues to be expressing through me now? Number 2, ask your high wisdom self, what is a step I can take when? Right now. What is a step I can take right now to make this expression, the expression of this purpose, welcome? To make it welcome. I don't have to go out and slog my way through a bog, right? What is it that I can do to make it welcome, to lift me up, to move through me? And then finally, the 3rd step is it's difficult to explain this step. Act on it. Or as the song is, just do it. I should have told Brent that we should have brought that song because he's got a song about that. But just do it. Are you willing to play with those 3 practices? Take time to listen, take time to ask what's a step I can take right now, and then act on it. Are we willing to do that this week? Great. I want to close with a fairly long poem. This is a poem that was written and recited by Amanda Gorman at the inauguration of Joe Biden in 2021. She wrote, "When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in the never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. So we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but to what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to no one and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we we tried, that we'll forever be tied together victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promise to glade the hill we climb, if only we dare. I invite you to take that not just about our country, but about yourself. And breathe that in. You can find Amanda Gorman's poem online for the inaugural poem. It's called The Hill We Climb. We have an affirmation. Take a breath and say that with me. I live on purpose and in service to life. I live on purpose and in service to life. Thank you.